Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jenny will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And I am so stoked for my guest to be here today because when Monica Walls and I met a few weeks ago, we had such a fabulous conversation. And I knew I had to get her on the show to share her experiences with you because I know that there's something you're going to pull from this. So I want you all now to meet Monica Walls, a people-powered powerhouse with a passport full of stories and a heart wired for human connection. From the boardrooms of Silicon Valley to the sidewalks of global cities, Monica has always led with purpose, and that's with a capital P, y'all. Whether as an HR exec, orchestrating change, or as a volunteer rolling up her sleeves at food drives and walk-a-thons. But the corporate grind could not contain her creative spirit for long. Fueled by her Croatian roots, wanderlust, and a splash of bold lipstick, Monica stepped into her next chapter as the founder of Keca's Usna, a lip color line where every shade has a soul. Oh, I get full body chills. They get like, who thought lipstick could or lip color could give you full body chills? But I love that. Tired of formulas that flaked or felt uncomfortably sticky, she mixed science with sentiment to craft lipsticks that stay put and feel like a hug for your lips. Keca's Usna is not just makeup. It's a love letter to heritage, storytelling, and the magic of being unapologetically you. Every hue celebrates individuality. Every tube is rooted in values, and every swipe is a reminder. Beauty is personal, powerful, and it's meant to be shared. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Like just that bio right there makes me want to go get some lipstick. And I am not
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly, right? I am not somebody who normally is lip color driven. I don't wear a ton of lipsticks or lip colors. I'm generally a lip balm kind of girl because I work from home. I'm on Zoom, I could probably zhuzh things up a little more often for sure. But, it's things like that. And I love that. Like your bio is not boring.
Thank you.
you know?
Life is too short to be boring.
Yeah, exactly. And that really, it helped. I think if the badass crew gets nothing else from this except to put some more effort into their introductions and the storytelling of who they are and how they got into business. Hello. I mean, come on. How many, I would so love to know how many of the badass listeners just okay, I don't know how to spell Keca's Usna, but I need to find out because I got to check this out, right? So you started in corporate and you are now running your own empire, right?
Yes.
And really getting the brand out there. What made you want to shift from, Silicon Valley, which is tech, corporate, to doing this?
It wasn't part of a big, long plan. So it's not like I said, okay, I'm going to do, corporate for X amount of time and then move over. And my dream was to own my own company. Nope, that's not how that happened. I loved what I did from an HR standpoint, but I always wanted to do something that was a little more meaningful. And I had moments like that, putting together, a perfect program for a company I was working at or coming in and building from the ground up. And I found that that's what I loved was that building from the ground up, starting from scratch, creating, and just seeing how things went. And lipstick was always something I loved. And I had a problem to solve because my favorite long lasting would dry out my lips and My favorite gloss was either sticky or gone in 10 minutes. And almost always the only woman on the executive team. I didn't want to be a fussy one in a mirror, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah.
Yep. And working for, startup and growing companies meant long hours and meant that, okay, so I needed to look good for a long amount of time. And I, again, didn't want to be, ducking into my purse and pulling something out and putting something on. So I was taking a little bit of a break from corporate world. And one of my friends said, hey, you've had an idea since grad school. And if you don't do this now, you will never do it.
Mm.
I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And they were like, of course you can, because this is something that you're passionate about. And this is something you've been talking about. Maybe it was just a project in grad school, but you never forgot it. And there's a reason for that. So off I went and went, okay, so let's do it.
Yeah.
So again, very kind of impromptu, not a plan, but yeah, it was really, really, I'm not sorry for 1 second. That's what I chose.
Well, and I love that it was someone who reminded you
Mm-hmm.
that so obviously this was someone you had kept in your life for, a while, that they
Yep.
knew you back when you did that project and how much you loved it, and that probably planted a seed, that level of passion and wanting to do whatever that project was, which I'm assuming was this or something along the lines of it. you know
A little bit different than grad school with more meaning because, you're older now and we're wiser now,
yeah.
but still something of my very own.
Yeah. And so let's talk about this, the shift from, the corporate boardroom, the HR executive, being part of that, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, thing
Nine to
to
five.
I love it. You're like, yeah, like, right. Like, it's not just 9 to 5. I know when you're an executive, it's not just 9 to 5, right? But now coming into doing this for yourself, what are some of the things that you have pulled from helping to run someone else's business? Because someone else, you know, started
Mhm.
that corporation that you were part of, that company that you were part of, and now you're the one who's starting it. What have you pulled from that world that has helped you be able to shift from corporate mindset to entrepreneur?
Yeah, it was, I think the biggest thing that I pulled away was learning both of the good stuff and the not so good stuff. So I've
Mm.
had the, privilege of working for some amazing CEOs and then some where maybe our ideals were a little bit different. So when I started this, I thought, okay, so I want to take with me what I learned from these CEOs was around the passion, the quality control, being very proud of what you're putting out there, regardless if it's a product or a service. Those things are really important. Your business ethics and your core values are what make you up as a person. And for me, those things are non-negotiable. I also wanted to make sure I wasn't falling into but I'm the only person who can do this. And I'm the one who knows everything best because I have run into that along the way. So I had to be very mindful of taking with me some of the things that I did as an HR executive. I used to build good teams and I would hire people that could do certain things better than me because it made us better as a whole. So
Yeah.
I had to take that mindset when I put this together too and went, okay, so what are my strengths? What do I enjoy doing? What's the biggest impact for my business? And then where do I want to bring other people in to help me to make sure that Keca's Usna can be the best that it can be?
Okay. So I love that awareness of the the balance, the struggle, tug of war, maybe between do it yourself and bringing others in, because I
Mhm.
think even in the world of direct sales and MLM, there's still some of that. Maybe not the running of the business per se, but especially for a direct sales person, I think, and maybe it's more a mom wife thing to be like, I have to do all the things. I have to load the dishwasher or else it doesn't get done right. Or and I've said for years, guys, just let your kids freaking do it and screw up and mess up
Yep.
and realize, nope, I have to reload the dishwasher because they didn't get clean. And so now we need to learn about that, right? I love that you have brought that into what you're doing. So you've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years now?
Almost 2 years. We're not at 2 years just yet.
Okay, so 2 years. And so how many do you have on your team? Like, how are you building and growing and choosing like who's part of the Keca Usna team?
Right. So I don't have any full-time employees yet.
Okay.
I do have an assistant who helps. She does so much. I don't know if I could survive without her. And she does a lot of the administrative heavy lifting. There's lots and lots of emails and contacts and connections and meetings and, all kinds of social media things as well, right? So we have so many different platforms. So I want to make sure that I stay, really relevant and that I'm doing all the things that I want to do. So I have an assistant who helps with pieces of that. And then I bring in PR and marketing people for their level of expertise. I could never run a photo shoot. Like, that's just not who I am. I'm really good at standing behind my camera guy and directing, and we work really well together, which is fantastic. But I could never do that on my own, right?
Right.
And graphic design is something I couldn't do. So I bring in people to help me do the things that I need to get done. And of course, a factory for my lipsticks and someone who does packaging. And I've been really fortunate in that some people I've known for a long time have pointed me in really good directions. And then others you meet along the way, they know someone who knows someone. And, that's been really, really a godsend for me as well, because it helps me find these specialized people for products or in this country or in another country if I need when I'm shipping. I have friends who have product in their house and they ship for me. And what you do when you're small. I've got someone in Spain, I've got someone in the UK, I'll have somebody in Canada in the next 2 weeks. And I've got a couple friends in the US. So when I'm traveling, I can say these are the orders that came in. They've got a printer for the label and they've got all the supplies and they can make it happen. So
Oh, that's so cool. And I think that's so smart to allow yourself that ability to still travel and
mhm.
make sure your customers are getting their ordered product in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
So, with a business like this, and I think this is a question that's really going to hit home for anybody who's new or newer in getting into business. How are you getting the word out about what you do and who you are? What do you, in addition to being on podcasts, you know, what else are you doing? How do you let people know that this exists?
It's kind of a multitude of ways. So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and that comes pretty natural to me from my HR and corporate background.
Yeah.
And then I try to be as active as possible on social platforms, and that helps too.
Okay.
And I show up at expos and pop ups when they make sense for me. So I was just in Nashville a couple weeks ago, and 2 weeks before that, I was in Dallas. And at the end of next month, I will be in Chicago, and then I'm going to New Jersey. I did Phoenix several weeks before that. So I try to go to those things where it makes sense. And I do talk about my business all the time
Yeah.
in an airplane, in an Uber. Like, I was sitting next to somebody on an airplane, and as the plane is landing, he pulled out this lip balm and put it on. And I watched him put it on and put it back in his bag. And I was like, "So do you like your lip balm?" "Oh, I do." And I asked him why. "Well, my wife buys it for me." "How come this brand?" So we had this whole conversation. Long story short, we traded information. His parents were sitting across the aisle from us. He was probably in his late 20s.
Okay.
Turns out they run an organization that helps rescue women who are being trafficked. They bought more than one of every single item on my website. And we had conversations about how I can help. I'm looking for that perfect organization where I can donate either, a percentage of proceeds or product to. And if there's a way that we can do it so it not only is giving, women a chance who don't have something to have something, but something that's helpful for them. So some of these organizations will embed QR codes that women can scan to get to safety when they're ready. And I would love that opportunity. So
Oh,
it was
so
the
cool.
perfect person to say, "So do you like your lip balm?" And I do it all the time. All the time I talk to people. I'm very social by nature. My niece used to tease me about talking to people. Not so much anymore. Now she gets it.
Well, it's one thing when you were, corporate HR, right?
Mhm.
You maybe would have found your next great employee or manager or leader or something, maybe just randomly talking to someone on, on an airplane or whatever. But, when you've got your own business, you are your own walking billboard. And,
Correct.
and so just the nice thing is when you're insanely curious to other people and asking questions like you did, do you like your lip balm? What do you like about it? Why do you guys choose to get that one? Because then the natural human response is to want to be curious back to you. Like, so why are you curious about lip balm? Like, why do you care? Like, I'm sure a 20 something guy is like, why is she asking me this? But if you hadn't have asked that one question, it wouldn't have led you to this place where you could have a conversation with an organization that does this really important work
Right.
that matters to you,
Right.
and right now it is a trending topic in the world,
Right.
and so to have something like that is pretty cool. Now,
Mhm.
I have to ask the question because I'm sure there are probably some people wondering. So what does Keca's Usna mean?
So when I decided to do this, I thought if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it 100% all the way. So I wanted to make it really personal.
Mhm.
So Keca's Usna is the name of my brand and company. And Keca was my nickname as a teenager. And Usna is Croatian for lip, and I'm Croatian. So I wanted to make it really personal. If you look at my colors, they also have a Croatian descriptor and an English name. So, like my red is Krovišti, and Krovišti means rooftop in Croatian, and all the rooftops are terracotta, so they look red.
Oh, look at that. I love that. So that is so fantastic. What a nice connection then. Because do you find that there are Croatians who find out about, or Croatian Americans, or, who find out about this and immediately are drawn to the brand just because of that?
I do get the, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And of course, family members and distant cousins, right? That's all helpful because they're all like, oh, right. For them, it feels
Yeah.
really good. I was in Croatia a few months ago. So, of course, took that opportunity. I had product with me when I was in Dubrovnik and other places. And I have some followers now that are in Croatia because I stopped and talked to them. I handed out a sample. I left my business card. And I'm born and raised in the US, but my grandfather was from Croatia, this little island called Ij. And the first time I went back there, I went not back there, but the first time I went there, I was so surprised at how emotional it was pulling up to this little island that you could swim around probably in a couple of hours. And
Okay.
then going back this time, it'd been more than 20 years since I've been, and I've been a few times. It was just almost, I don't want to say magical because that sounds a little tiny bit corny, but it just felt so good. So I could hear people talking and the language was familiar, even though I couldn't understand all of it. And it just felt like I belonged there. And I was so proud of taking some pictures of my product there, and my cousins teasing me as I'm holding product over my head in the ocean to swim to this one rock so I could put my picture on it to take a picture. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, nope, this is the way to do it. And it just felt so good. And to be there with some family and some friends was really awesome. So I think, I'm a bit of a mutt with my, Croatian, and I'm some Italian, and my dad was, American English, American Indian with Irish and French. So I'm a bit of a mutt, but I do
Right.
really kind of just identify with the Croatian side. And I have a cousin who looks more like me than my own sister.
Right. And I think what drives people for things like this is the story behind,
Hmm.
and so knowing all of that, why lip color? Why, you came from the world of tech.
Yeah.
Why start a lip color company?
I've always been one of those, I need a 5-minute face. Like, I envy the
Mm.
women who can spend an hour and a half getting ready and do all these cool shadings. It's just not who I can be. I'm just not able, and it's just not my talent. So for me, eyeliner, mascara, and lipstick, that's all I need. And in the summer, sunglasses and lipstick is all I need. So it was just, it's just one piece that made such a big change, right? Like, think about being barefoot, which versus wearing shoes. It feels really different. So for me,
Yeah.
lipstick felt like that. No lipstick versus color is a huge change in my face. And so I thought, and lipstick is fun.
Yeah.
And lipstick is easy. And lipstick can be playful. It could be a statement. You could be subtle, you could be bold. There's so many variations. And it was just something for me that I really needed as I was growing up, my lips don't have a lot of natural pigment. So it is a huge difference in my face. And so I thought, okay, so this is what I want to do, something that's very impactful. That's not, huge, right? It's not a big thing you have to carry around. It's not something you have to make room for in your purse. It fits in your pocket and it makes a big change in how you look and how you feel.
Yeah. And so what have you learned about the industry? The color industry, the makeup industry, the beauty industry, whatever way you want to view that. What have you learned about the industry that has either been surprising for you or has been a pleasant surprise? It doesn't have to be a bad surprise, but
Yeah.
what have you learned in 2 years of doing this now?
It's interesting as I've learned a lot because I didn't know anything, right? And I kind of had this mindset of, oh, I can do all this. It should be simple. Yeah, not so much, right? There was a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So, which is good because it's great to be learning. So what I did learn is there's a lot of interesting thing around brands, a lot of white labeling going on, and I chose not to do that route. I wanted my own formulation. So I'm not a white label of anybody else. I learned how important it is to recognize that you want good ingredients. So I am gluten, paraben, and cruelty free, which is really important. And the gluten is a bigger one, right? More and more people are sensitive to gluten and they only think about it from an ingestion standpoint, not necessarily putting it on your skin because it does go in your bloodstream.
Right.
And I'm vegan friendly. So those things are really important. So I learned that along the way as I went. I learned that changing colors are not as simple as like you would think with cookie dough and adding food dye. Nope, that's not how it works either. So I've learned a lot because I would think you have a base and then you just add different colors. No, that's not how that works. So
Really? I mean,
yes,
you don't have to
it's so
share any
true.
proprietary processes, but I thought this like yeah, I thought the same thing too. Start with a neutral base and then add reds, oranges, blues, yellows, whatever to get the colors you get.
Yeah, not that simple. And I've learned it's important. You have to put things through heat tests and stabilization tests. And so they have to sit for so long. So it's not like I can say, okay, I like this color, let's go. And 2 weeks later, I'm ready. Nope, takes a little bit longer than that too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's interesting.
because based on what I've seen from kind of scrolling through your website, is it doesn't look like there's lipsticks per se. And is it more lip color? So it's more lip color, more, paint on or
Yeah, so they're liquid lipsticks. So they're put on
okay.
with a wand. So they're technically lipsticks. Even
Okay.
my lip gloss is really a lipstick. So I have liquid lipsticks that have a matte finish. So that'll dry. And it's what I typically wear every day because I don't want to put lipstick on again. And it'll last me 12 hours. I literally got a text this morning from someone who said, I put this on at 6 a.m. Here's my picture at 10 p.m. I'm in my PJs. Oh my God, this is magic. I'm like, yay, I'm so excited. And then I love to see that when I get things like that from customers. I love it. And then I have a liquid lipstick that's a gloss finish. So that's not going to give you a 12-hour stay. It'll
Right.
give most people 4 to 5, depending, but it is a gloss finish. So it's a bit, I don't want to say shiny, but a little bit glossy versus the matte, which is kind of a flatter look.
Right. Well, and again, to go back to what you were talking about, why you wanted, you know, something that you wanted something for yourself that wouldn't have you sitting in the middle of a boardroom meeting or something, a conference room, pulling out your mirror and putting on,
Right.
reapplying in the middle of a meeting, right? So if you can go from breakfast to lunch, eat, go to the bathroom, you know,
Yeah.
reapply, and then get you from lunch to dinner, or
Correct.
at least the drive home. That's all you need, right?
Correct. Yeah.
On the gloss side, if somebody prefers more of that look. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's fantastic to be able to go, you know, 4 hours without reapplying or 12 hours
Yeah.
without reapplying. That's amazing.
It's great.
So now what's next for you? What's on Monica's horizon for yourself, for the business? Where are you looking towards now?
Yeah, I feel really good. I've just had a couple of amazing weeks working with someone on some strategy and kind of creating a roadmap, which I hadn't done for myself. I've helped other executives do it, and we've done it for other companies, but never for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, all the things. So, really thinking about what I want to do. I get the question a lot of, are you going to go into eyes? Are you going to go into cheeks? And right now, my focus is lips. I have a couple of colors that I'm working on, which I'm really excited about. Hoping that those will come out soon. I just have a little more trials to go through. And then, of course, we have the few months that it takes for everything to get made. So I'm really excited about that. I think just more colors for now is where I'm at, both with my gloss and my matte finish. And I might start doing something fun with lip liners and maybe like a little chubby one instead of just a thin one to line your lips, but I'm still playing with that to see if that's
Okay.
where I end up. But I love this now. I love the creativity that I'm able to find in myself that I never knew existed. I'm loving the getting out there more. Like I go to so many events and I love hearing when I was in Dallas, someone said, "Oh, I bought from you last year and I was hoping you would come back." I love that.
Mm.
Love that. I love that. And so just more and more showing up in person and, just getting my brand name out there. I'm waiting for someone to say, "Oh yeah, I heard about you. I've been wanting to try your stuff." I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear that statement.
Well, well, fingers crossed. We're working on you and
Exactly.
making that possible for you. So let's really quickly, if you could give advice
Hmm.
to the Monica who was just getting started with this 2 years ago, like what advice would you go back and give her to maybe help shortcut an issue or inspire, motivate? Like, what advice would you give that version of Monica from 2 years ago?
Interesting question. I think I would say to not be afraid. This is the first time in my life that I'm doing something where I can't do the job, kind of quote unquote job of every person who reports to me, right? So I can't
Mm.
create the lipstick. I can't create my website. I can do all kinds of other great things, but those are a couple examples. So I think in the beginning, that made me a little bit nervous, made me feel a little vulnerable, and that I had to maybe sometimes listen to people that actually I didn't have to listen to,
Mm.
and to maybe not trust my gut enough. And now I know that that's not the case, right? I'm very solid in my foundation and trusting myself. And I know this is absolutely 100% the thing I'm supposed to be doing. And I know the way I'm doing it is the right way to do it. So I think if I could go back, I would tell myself, so you're really confident as an HR leader, you're really confident as a partner, you're really confident as somebody who can build a good team. Remember that as you're going in, you can do all these things too, right? Be really
Mm.
confident and just know that you're doing all of the right things and everything's going to be just fantastic.
Ah, that's wonderful advice. Well, and I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
When I first got started, I didn't trust my intuition when I first got started. And so it's just a great validation, I think, for those who are listening to this right now. Now, granted, it's just you and me right here, right now, but this is going out to the interwebs in a couple of weeks. And so, people getting to hear that, I've said it to my audience before and I'll say it again. If you're hearing this, it's because you were meant to. This message was meant for you, right?
Correct.
So, that's, I think, is absolutely fantastic advice for
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Monica, we've been talking about this amazing product that you have. And I'm sure there are some people who are like, well, I would like something that lasts 12 hours. I would like something that lasts 4 hours between reapplications. And you have a fantastic little gift for the badass crew. So tell us about it.
I do. So I have a discount code. So when you go to my website and order, there's a place for a promo code. So the code badass15, all one word, will give all of the listeners 15% off of their total purchase. And if there happens to be something else going on at that time, we do an intro 10% off for signing up for our newsletter. They are combinable, so you can have a fantastic first order. And with the holidays coming up, who knows what other things we might do. I'm playing with my 12 days of Christmas idea, so we'll see what happens there. I know we're a little off, but never too early to start thinking about that.
Oh, no. And given that this is coming out in October, that's the beginning of the holiday buying season, I think, for most people. So, and people are at least starting to think about, okay, what am I going to wear to all the holiday parties I'm going to? And
Yep.
makeup should be a part of that, right? Because if you're
Yep.
spending time and effort on an outfit, you should be putting some time and effort into, or at least
Correct.
in your case, one application before a party. I mean, come on, y'all. That sounds
Exactly.
amazing.
Exactly.
So yeah, so of course, Badass Crew, you guys already know. You've listened to the show enough. You know that the website and the code are already in the show notes for you. So just click on the link, copy paste the code, go pick out. And if I remember correctly, it's 15% off your total order. So it's not just off of one lip color. It's
Yep.
as many of them as you like and want to try.
Mhm.
And it is combinable with any existing offers, which hello, y'all. I mean, why wouldn't you go check it out? So that is in there. And for somebody who maybe is listening for the very first time to the show, all you have to do to get to the show notes is click on today's episode, as long as you're not driving. Scroll under Monica's picture, and there you will see kecasusna.com. So you don't have to try and figure out how to spell that or anything like that. Just click on the link, and then the code BADASS15 can be applied to your entire cart. So, Monica, such a great conversation. Thank you for coming and sharing about your experience from shifting from the corporate world to the entrepreneurial world, because everyone who's listening right now is going through that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. I always enjoy our conversations. And it's so easy just to sit and chat about lipstick and doing what you want to do and having fun. What a great way to spend my early part of my day.
I love that. And of course, if any of the listeners wants to connect with you, maybe they
Hmm.
want to learn more about the product, or maybe they have a question about it, how can they connect with you?
Sure. So on my website, there is a contact that you can fill out, like a little contact form, and hello at Keca's Usna. We'll get an email to someone on my team or to me, and we'll make sure that it gets responded to. So that's the best way to reach out. And you can find that form on my website.
Absolutely. So if you want to reach out to Monica, click on the link. It's the same link that's in the show notes. And you'll notice right up at the top, one of the items at the top is contact. So you guys can reach out to Monica there and connect with her if you have further questions. So, Monica, thank you again for doing this. You're awesome.
Thank you so much. This is great fun.
Oh, good. I am so happy to have you here. And of course, Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.